welcome to the podcast. We are joined here with Jan Willem Rustenburg for our second episode. The main thing we'll be combining and discussing today is why choose the GPS Center. As we discussed in our previous episode, was about the Gordian's Planning and Support Service Center. Now, please, Jan Willem Rustenburg, introduce yourself.
Thanks, André. Thanks for this interview. Yeah, André, I'm from origin a Dutch guy, born in the north of Holland. I have 3 fantastic children, a wonderful spouse, so very happy from a private perspective. And from a business perspective, I'm the founder and the CEO of Gordian. And I have a true passion for spare parts management and for people.
Fantastic. Glad to have you in our very hot South Africa. Happy to share the weather. And today, as we discussed, we'll be discussing the GPS Center. And it's a long mouthful, but can you describe what is the core driving force behind establishing it?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, André. But the real core driver is to make a long-lasting impact at clients. We used to be a project company, and a project has a beginning and an end. And what we often saw is that after the ending of the project, the good practices just faded away. With GPS, we want to offer a service to sustain that performance and even elevate that performance. That's the client perspective. There's also an entrepreneurial perspective, in all honesty. Doing projects only gives a very volatile income stream. If you can combine it with services, you get a healthy mix of project income and a more recurrent income. And in doing that, we become more healthy and we create a more lasting impact for our clients.
Perfect answer. Thank you. To maybe lean into any specific pain points you can maybe recall from the client side that maybe led to the creation of the GPS Center?
Yeah, well, one of the key pain points is the lack of inventory controllers. Sometimes they're just not there. We also see that in Europe, but to a lesser extent, but certainly in Africa, we see that as a major challenge. And it goes back towards the education. We also don't see some good and fine-tuned educations that can serve as a good basis for the function of MRO inventory controller. So hence, we created Academy for ourselves, and many people have profited from that. But that's the way we go. And that's so the whole issue is actually the lack of people.
Now, to understand, what was the leading idea of establishing the GPS Center in Africa? Because Gordian is an international company situated in Netherlands. So what was the idea there?
Yeah, André, my answer might be a little bit sensitive. Probably not everybody will agree to it, but I'm going to give it anyway. What you need for GPS professionals is a combination of, on the one hand, discipline and routine, and on the other hand, creativity, problem-solving skills. That combination is well found in South Africa. If you go to the Netherlands, there is an inclination to more creativity and the problem-solving skills. But you also need this discipline and the routine part. That is what we found out, and so far we were okay in that decision.
Thank you. And to maybe dive deeper into what is crucial, why is it crucial for a business to have a core inventory management function?
Yeah, André, that is, of course you should ask our clients, but you're asking me, so I will give my perspective on it. Yeah, there are various ways to look at it, but I think at least every company should be environmentally sensitive. And if you take a look at it from that perspective to all the spares inventory and all the inventory that lies there for years and years, that should not have happened. Because not only because of the money, but also because of the CO2 footprint that was created with all that redundant stock. I really think that's already alone from the environmental perspective, it deserves a professional inventory management function.
Perfect. I am a really, really big fan of sustainability and finding that balance. And it's really important to obviously clean up what's old. And just to help the clients in that is very useful. To jump on to what is the role of innovation and technology when it comes to the GPS service center?
Yeah, innovation is key, André. Innovation is really key. And like others, we have a specific focus on AI, actually machine learning, and with a number of purposes. And one of them is that we want to learn, let's say, cross-company. We want to because we think the patterns, supply chain patterns in the one company can be similar to the other one. So once you understand the one, you can apply the problem solving on the other one. The second reason is to become more and more efficient, because at the end of the day, we are also a cost to the client, and they want to reduce it every year. So there's an efficiency drive. But a totally different perspective on innovation is our contribution to 3D printing. There is a normal way of sourcing towards, let's say, the original equipment manufacturers, the distributors, etc. But in some cases, it is way more effective and efficient to go the route of 3D printing, but you just have to know the route. I think we are pretty educated in finding those routes, so we can also propose to the client the most optimal sourcing decisions.
Thank you. I think it's, of course, very important to utilize on the vast amount of data that is out there. And that's where AI, machine learning comes into their own. And 3D printing, no, it feels like it's hand in hand when it comes into spare parts. I think it's, like you said, it's kind of, you got to know your road there. It's mainly at the end of the road, but you got to get all the processes in the beginning. To finalize on the last question, what do you consider within this competitive landscape? Where do you think in supply chain services, what gives Gordian the advantage?
Yeah, as I said in the beginning of the interview, André, I'm a Dutch guy. And yeah, I can be a little bit stubborn every now and then, which makes that I do not spend all of my time looking at what my competitors do. I look at the very strength of Gordian, I believe in them, and I try to make a difference with it. Also, I'm not naive, of course, so I do look at the competition every now and then. And if I take a critical view on that, I think you should identify a couple of aspects. We got the technology, we got the processes, but we also have the people. And I think our competitive edge is in the people. Yeah, you can look at it from all kind of way, but spare parts management will remain people business for years and years to come. There are so many dynamics, anomalies, etc., etc. So you need a people view to solve it, to solve the issues. And I think that's the part where we are very strong in. Our people are genuinely interested in the client's people and committed to the client's benefits. I think there we have a unique spot.
Can't agree more. I love that answer. And yeah, to be able to assist them, handhold, to deliver the target together. Very powerful. Thank you. That is all we have for today. This has been the podcast. We've got Jan Willem Rustenburg here today. I'd like to thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I'm looking forward to having you at a later date. We'll be discussing another thing, another topic. And that is it. Really hope you enjoyed, and we're hoping to see you for the next episode. Cheers.